EVO. This series contains adult language and depictions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised. And we're live. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to The Devil Within, Satan's Shadow bonus episode number 9. Treachery. We're there. We made it.
Yeah.
We're in the very pit of hell, Margot. Joining us, as always, the great Margot Carmichael. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right. Getting some cool comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comments. And there was I think the person who left a nice comment on one of the last episodes then also came to Death by Southwest and left a comment there like, hey, I'm here from The Devil Within. I said, cool, welcome. So that's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
And for the listeners who are commenting on hearing the advertisements for a few other shows in my feed, I apologize. Please don't begrudge my making a living from doing this. You can skip right past the feed drop. You don't have to listen to it. But hey,
God.
You know,
people are complaining about that.
Yeah.
Why?
I get it. I don't know. Listen, it's a product that we put out for free. We have to be able to advertise on it, or we won't be able to do it. Right. So yeah. I get it. I don't
know. I listen to other podcasts that have a crap load of ads in them, have feed drops in them.
Yeah.
If I don't feel like listening, I just skip. Fast forward. It's not really a big deal. I never understand like when people are like, oh, I can't take all the ad breaks. Yeah, it's a little annoying, but like, okay, nobody's doing this. Most people are doing this to hopefully earn a little money, like to hopefully supplement their income, to have it be their full-time income. Yeah. What are you just doing this for free? I mean,
I don't want to sound like a get off my lawn kind of guy, but I think it could be a generational thing because I'm a Gen X kid. I grew up where you had no choice but to sit through commercials.
Right.
Unless you paid and went to the movies. Okay.
Right. I mean, I'm not Gen X. Let me be clear.
No, you're not at all. You're an incredibly young flower. I know.
Yes.
And nowadays it's, you know, you're on your parents' Netflix account and you just watch whatever. You don't have to. You're not dealing with the commercial stuff. So
right.
I get it. It's an established advertising business model, you know, that is everywhere. But anyway, I hear what you're saying. You just let me make a living. Thank you.
Yes, and you're giving people something. You're providing entertainment. Movie stars make money, and I'm not like likening podcast hosts to movie stars, but you know, you're providing entertainment and content.
Sure.
Why shouldn't you make money from it? So, okay, done.
I get it. But anyway, despite those, I completely understand and thank you for listening. And but people are starting to, I guess, more people are starting to discover, especially this season, and seem to be enjoying it. So I'm just over the moon over that. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
How's things at Death by Southwest?
Good. Next week is episode 100.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
That is a huge deal, seeing how, 90-something% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. Did you know that?
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I do remember in the beginning when I was like, I have no listeners. Nobody's downloading this. You gave me some statistics about most podcasts, like, have, I don't remember, 200 listeners or something, 200 downloads or something like that, something that made me feel better. And at this point,
in terms of the numbers, a podcast is considered successful if you get something like 57 downloads per episode. You're in the top 10%, something like that. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is. I know.
Well, it's a competitive game, the podcast world, but
if you look at it one way, if you look at it a different way, it's really not, because everyone's like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then they do 3 episodes. They're like, oh, I'm going to go do something else.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So congratulations. 100 episodes is huge.
Thank you. Thanks.
Huge. All right. So Treachery.
Episode 9. So I like at the beginning how you had a correction from last time about the name, Falzone, not Falzone. And I would have said Falzone as well.
But there's no E at the end. But I saw the Z and I'm like, oh, I know this word. Calzones are delicious. Yeah.
I know.
I think
How did you come across, like, how did you know? You just heard it or somebody
I
commented?
heard it while I was researching. I was looking for some clips for this episode,
Yeah,
and it was the first time I'd heard the name spoken
right,
in an
right.
interview, and I went, ah, and he's not even Italian. There's like
Yeah.
nothing Italian. You're right. There's nothing.
Really?
Yeah,
I
there's
literally
nothing.
wrote down, like,
Yeah.
what is this, the mob researching this case? Like, Salerno, Falzone. I like
Right.
Falzone better, and then Carrillo, which I know
Yeah.
is doesn't have to
Spanish.
be,
It's a
yeah, it
Spanish
doesn't have
word.
to
Yeah.
be Italian, but they all sound Italian off the
Yeah.
bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
That was nice of you, though, to correct yourself.
Hey, I try and get it right when I can. You know.
I know. You said that's the Jersey in me or something like that, and I wanted to be like, it's kind of like the pretend Italian in you. Your wife's Italian. You feel like you're Italian, I think sometimes.
I don't feel like I'm an Italian sometimes. I don't have the palate for Italian. I don't eat enough awesome stuff to be considered Italian.
Oh, that's true. You are sometimes a picky eater, aren't you?
I eat like a 10-year-old. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's
Grilled
true.
cheese, peanut butter and jelly, plain pizza, plain spaghetti. Okay. Yeah.
God.
Lettuce in my salad, Italian
Mark is
dressing.
dying to come, like, if we come out, he wants to cook for you, and I was like, "I don't know, you're gonna
We'll
have to
have to
cook something
talk about
really bland and boring."
we'll have to talk about the menu beforehand.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Now for
um,
my wife, as long as there's no meat in it, he could cook whatever he wants for my wife. My wife will
right,
eat anything. Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
So
good. Um, so then then you went to Falzon's, how he punched,
Armando. Yeah.
right? Um, and I really liked this. First of all, I thought this was a great line. The 6 words that cracked the case open is, "Your guy's name is Richard Ramirez." This is pretty, like, impactful the way that
Yeah.
you presented that. And then I also loved hearing that was Joe Pesci, right? In uh
Oh, and
what
Reservoir Dogs? No,
yeah.
that was Chris. That was the late great Chris Penn
And
character.
I loved that.
Yeah.
That painted the picture of, like, what you were trying to say,
Yeah.
that, like, so well.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Reservoir Dogs is a masterpiece of crime cinema. It's Quentin Tarantino's directorial debut. It's a like maddeningly amazing movie for someone's first time directing. Okay.
Right.
Um, and Chris Penn, Sean Penn's little brother, who unfortunately died young from heart disease. But he
Mm.
played a character, Nice Guy Eddie, who was just everything about the movie. It's a tour de force: acting, writing, directing, editing, music, everything. It's incredible. Yeah.
Did you like how did you come up with this specific, was your mind like, "Oh, remember that scene in Reservoir Dogs where this happens? This would illustrate this perfectly." Or, like, how did you make that connection? Like, I can't, my brain won't remember, like, movie
Hmm.
lines or whatever, but this was so, I mean, it was like, essentially, does the end justify the means? Is, I feel like, what the kind of,
Well, I know the movie backwards and forwards. I've seen it so many times, and that line that, oh my gosh, that specific scene with that poor cop tied to the chair. What that cop goes through in the movie is brutal. How he's tortured. Okay. Um, and so and what Chris Penn's character is all about is he's the underboss. His dad is the boss, okay, but his dad's like kind of old, and so he is in charge of this band of thieves, okay,
right,
in a heist gone wrong. The genius thing about the movie, it's a heist movie, but you never see the heist. It's all the aftermath of the heist, okay, and who's the rat and what happened, and
right,
there's a cop that's on the team, and no one knows who it is. But the audience knows who it is. The audience is ahead of all the bad guys the whole time. It's great, and and that scene, he'll tell you he started the Chicago fire. It doesn't necessarily
right.
make fucking so.
Yes, that was
Um,
the line. That's
that's
great.
popped into my head several times over the last couple of years as it relates to how does our government, do we torture prisoners at Gitmo or do we not torture? Like
Oh,
enhanced
okay.
interrogation is what it was called sometimes. Enhanced
Right,
interrogation means torture, right? And what has come to the fore time and time again is that information is highly suspect. because people will tell you anything to make the pain stop.
Right.
Okay, is what it comes up with. But then the opposite side of it is, what if someone does give you information that saves thousands of American
Right.
lives?
So, like, is it like get
Is it
the
worth it?
information by any means possible,
Right.
or yeah, it's like a moral gray zone for sure, I
Yeah.
feel like. What do
It's
you think?
crazy. I just watched, and it's so funny. Just before this, something popped up. I was scrolling looking for something, and um, some Jackie Chan movie, a scene from a Jackie Chan movie, like a recent one, like he's the older Jackie Chan, uh,
Mhm.
with some IRA thing where he's pretending to be a plumber, whatever, and walks into a room with all these with six like IRA dudes, um, and then he's a spy and he like beats them all up, and there's one person that's left alive, and they start interrogating her, and they say, tell us what you know, and she goes, you'll never find out, I'm never going to say anything. They torture her with like electric shock things, right? And but you don't see it, right? They bring the apparatus out to torture her, and this very calm guy says, here's how this works: I ask you questions, you give me answers. Okay. And she says it's too late. It blows. It's the plane, whatever, blows in 9 minutes. Okay, and then it cuts, and it's a guy on the phone saying a guy's name and his and a laptop, and then now we're running through the airport. Okay, into this gate, boarding area, and they're just
Right.
screaming this guy's name. He goes, "That's me. That's me. Is this your laptop?" Yeah. They take it, and all these cops just start running. They're running through this super super crowded airport holding this laptop, right? And you're like, "Oh, it's going to be a hoax, right? It's not like
Right.
nothing's going to happen." And all they're creating all of this panic like for nothing, and they tortured this woman with electric fucking shocks like for nothing, right? And there's a clock on it, and it's like counting down to 10 seconds, right? And the guy finally gets to like this abandoned like jetway, and this one cop, and he just frisbees this computer down this jetway, and you're like, oh, nothing. And then there's this massive fucking explosion that would have killed
Oh,
1,000, and you're like, holy it's like, it's not at all that what I was expecting. So, and it's so weird that it's like, I'm telling you something, our minds are read by our devices somehow, right?
duh.
That shit
Like,
comes up.
for sure, like, this is nothing new. Of
No,
course, you're
no.
anything that you could have possibly looked up, and you have an iPhone, right? So,
Yeah.
like, all your shit is connected. So whatever you're doing potentially on your computer is also happening on your
Yeah,
like,
of course, of
this.
course. But so anyway, so that it illustrates when torture works. And listen, people have been getting tortured for information for fuck since the Inquisition, since before the whatever, right? But the question is, as a society as allegedly evolved as we are, Western societies, okay, is that something that we do? Obviously, it's something that we've done a lot, or it wouldn't be discussed in the halls of Congress, and and be given the shitty title enhanced interrogation. Just fucking say torture,
Yeah,
right? Like, just say it. But you brought it up. Do the ends justify the means? In this situation, yeah, I'll punch a guy in the face to get a serial killer off the street.
totally.
Totally.
100%,
Yeah.
absolutely, like, no
Yeah.
question in my mind that that was the right move, and the way that he framed it is he said that Armando was, like, raising his fist at him, like, do we know if that's true or not? But who cares? Does it matter? He got the name.
Absolutely got the name. And here's the other thing. I think that's, and I look, I'm a pro cop guy. I've got, my brother's a New York State trooper, right? Like, I love cops. Falzone's full of shit. He punched him because he wasn't giving up the info, and
Okay.
his cop sense knew that he knew something. Okay.
Right,
And this is San Francisco in '70s and '80s was, I mean, like a war zone. It was really, the cops had it was a really tall order to try and keep
right,
order on the streets there. And he knew. And he just bang, just a quick one. Whoa, get his attention, right?
worked.
And yeah, and it worked. All of us, he goes, hey, he raised his hands. I'm not going to let him punch me first. Come on.
Well, sure, yes, of course. I mean, like, he has to frame it some way like that when he's talking to the public instead of just being like, "Oh, I just didn't feel like waiting for the information. I just punched it out of him." Like, you
Because
know?
that's how we did things back then.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, but I thought that, I mean, it was almost too easy. One punch and you got the name, and that's it. It
Yeah,
was
because it was the threat of more of those raining down on him, Um, And then if you watch NYPD Blue, I was a huge NYPD Blue fan, and again, that's fake is because it's television, but they would resort either to violence or the direct threat of violence
Well, totally.
all the time.
I mean, I feel like in all The Shield was a cop
Oh,
show, like
yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
pretty gritty cop show. I
Very
don't know why
gritty.
that came to mind, but I feel like they were violent to get answers or threatened violence to
Yeah.
get answers all the time, for sure.
Speaking
I
of
have to imagine that actually happens in real life too sometimes.
It
Or
does. Speaking of Chris and Sean Penn did a movie called Falcon and the Snowman where he was being interrogated and tortured and beaten for information. And it was a crazy scene where they were hitting him, bashing him on the head with a phone book because it didn't leave bruises. Okay.
Oh,
Oh man, yeah.
book
And
would hurt still though. It's heavy.
huh?
It would hurt
Oh, it
still.
hurt like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then I had a crazy friend back in the '90s he would drink and just turn into an I mean, it was like Jekyll and Hyde drunk, right? And he was in New York, and he got into a bar fight and he gets arrested, and he's handcuffed behind his back in a cop car, and he was just going after these New York cops and just saying the worst possible things, right? Just insulting them and just terrible things that I don't want to repeat. And he goes, and I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. I'm like, what? His name's Christian. He goes, one cop says to the other, watch out, don't hit that animal in the road. He goes, oh, I don't see it yet. Wait, you're about to, and then just slams on the fucking brakes as hard as he can. And Christian just flew forward and smashed his entire
Ugh,
face, broke his nose, orbital fracture on his eyes, like everything.
ew.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of a good move, but
Shut him up. Shut him
yeah.
up. And his face was just mangled.
Ugh,
Yeah,
God,
I know.
that would hurt.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they 100% did it on purpose, and he probably deserved it. But yeah.
So you're pro torture. Just kidding.
No, it's weird because what I almost just said was, listen, if the interrogator knows 100% that they know something that will save lives, torture. But how are you going to know something 100%? It's always a strong suspicion. It's always
Yeah,
like let's fish a little bit and see. And then does the person being tortured know that it's a fishing expedition? And if I just hold out long enough, they'll stop because they'll believe me. Like what? It's always about
fine
how
balance.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, how much can you give morally? How much can they take physically? Right, and
right.
who breaks first? It's tough. That's why it's banned on international law and all that. I mean, you're not allowed to torture people. It's in the Geneva
I'm pro
Convention.
torture. I think it's like if you're doing it for to try and get answers for something that to stop something or save someone or whatever the case may be, like way worse shit happens in the world. I feel like
Yeah,
fine. I don't know. That's just a very I haven't thought it through a lot.
right.
That's just top of the mind. So then you get into the forensics of fingerprints, which was fascinating. I mean,
And
I
I
knew some of this
exposed
because I
my
was
ignorance. I exposed my ignorance on fingerprints. I thought it was
I
like
mean,
a
I
fucking transparency.
I totally did too.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Oh, for sure. I
whew.
literally picture what you were saying because I remember like in math class they had like the overhead projector with like the
Yes.
transparencies, and like we did that sometimes for like graphing, like put one transparency over this graph and you see these lines and so I could like when you were saying that I was picturing exactly what you were talking about, and I was like, oh yeah, that's how I thought that it. I mean, I figured today probably it's done differently, but back then for sure that's how they did it. Absolutely.
It's how they
So that
never.
was
It's never
surprising.
how it's been done. Never how it's been done.
Very surprised. And I was like, damn, why did I think that? Because I watched a lot of CSI
Yeah.
and I took a lot of forensic classes in college because I found it super interesting.
Yeah.
And I should have known or remembered that. But
So, yeah, a
it's
little bit more research on my end, where there was before it became an exact science when the end of those pressure ridges were discovered to be unique.
right.
Okay, um, like back in like the 1800s, like in England, when fingerprint technology was first kind of developed by like Scotland Yard, it was what we're talking about. There weren't
Okay. Okay.
transparencies, okay, but the prints were able to be collected, and then the ink, and you
Okay.
could get someone else's, and you could say, okay, look how similar these are. in that way, in an overlay of a transparency kind of way. But then what made them what made it an exact science, right? Like to be able to put someone on death row, okay, is because look at all of the pressure ridges on your finger. Each one of them has a unique beginning and a unique end. Okay, so there's thousands of points of comparison per fingerprint. Okay, so that's how the science can be so exact.
So interesting and
Yeah,
weird how
yeah,
no person has the same fingerprint.
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah,
And I mean, now, have seen on TV how they like have the two fingerprints and you see it like running all the different things and you see all
yeah,
the points that match up and stuff. Like,
yeah.
so that is true or not true
Yeah, yeah,
then?
yeah. Okay, so what I'm saying is all of those points that match up that you see on a fingerprint,
Right.
those are the ends of the pressure ridges.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
see this? This one is matches this and matches this and matches this. It has nothing
Right.
to do with the overall,
Shapes.
shape, right?
Right.
Like the lines aren't going to match up. Right?
Right. That's for sure what I thought. I for sure thought it was all based on that.
Yep, me too. Me
So
too.
you made it that's like pretty like dense. You made it accessible the way you
Oh,
explained
cool.
it. So, which
Cool.
was good. I will say that do you think that all of your listeners are just like glue sniffers? Because at one point you're like, now I'm betting all of you can remember the smell of super
I'm
glue.
not saying
Like,
glue sniffers. What I'm saying is, you know what super glue smells like.
I mean, yeah, I get,
Of
yes.
course. All right, hold on, hold on. If your eyes are closed and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna have you smell something and it's not something disgusting. And I wave it under your nose, you'll be like, why are you having me smell super glue? Like you'd know it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What you're smelling, those fumes actually are a law enforcement technique to gather fingerprints.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Also,
That's super interesting.
it was discovered by accident that those fumes adhere to organic material that's left
I
behind
would
by
love to
fingerprints.
see that in action.
You
Like,
can. Okay. So you
I'm
can
gonna write
totally
that
see it. So like if you have a fingerprint on something like my key fob, right?
down, right?
Okay. And the key fob is way too smooth and the dust won't adhere to it or whatever. They take the key fob and they go to the crime lab, right? And they put it in basically what looks like a terrarium. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then they pump those super glue fumes into it. They let
Okay.
the fumes will then settle on the fingerprint and adhere to the organic matter on the fingerprint, and that's how they get it.
Okay. I've definitely seen that on
Yeah,
CSI or something. I did not know that they were super glue fumes.
they
Very
don't
cool.
call they don't the forensic cop doesn't say, "Yo,
Here's
get
some
me the
super
super
glue.
glue." They call it whatever the chemical name is for it, but that same chemical happens to be an ingredient that smells in super glue.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Got it. That looks like a very nice key fob, by the way. Do you have a fancy car right
Don't
now?
worry, don't worry about it. No, it's a Volkswagen. It's a Jetta. It's a great
Oh,
car.
cool.
Yeah, it's a
That's
great
cool.
car.
What are you, a
Yeah.
25-year-old girl, college girl?
No, I'm a tech bro in a startup. That's what I drive. Yeah. And I wear like an across the shoulder like messenger bag.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. That seems like a real moment for you. Um, so so then how you went on was like it was good. The build up, I liked how you told this, like about we explained the fingerprints and then the press conference, we know who you are, and soon everyone else will. That
Yes.
was great.
Nowhere
That's
for you
great.
to hide. Yes.
That was great.
But
Did you?
was it great? I mean, if you look, what the subtext in that announcement is vigilante justice.
Yeah, we're coming for you. Everyone is coming for you.
Everyone else will. There'll be nowhere for you to hide.
Fuck
Now
yeah.
they can hedge and say, "Oh, because they'll call in," which they did. But also, that's almost tacit approval for people to take the law into their own hands.
I mean, after somebody's been murdering this
Yeah,
long,
for that
this many
long. I
people
know.
this brutally, yeah, put it in
Yeah,
everyone's hands. Why
yeah,
not? Like, I'm
yeah.
for it. I think
I
it was
agree.
good.
Yep, yep, yep.
Now, I mean, it was like, it was good. It was very cinematic. It was like
Mhm.
a, like,
Oh,
we're,
cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I like that. So, I mean, it's just it is the rest of this story, the Night Stalker story. It plays out like a fucking movie. I mean, I think a movie it couldn't even be written this way. This is better than a
Yeah.
movie. I mean, the fact that like he walks in, he sees his face everywhere,
Yeah.
and
But even back up a little bit, like, just by dumb luck, he's out of town when the
oh
announcement breaks
God, yes,
and
yes,
away from news sources,
yes, and he
right?
doesn't even know. And
He
then
spent the first 16 hours of the announcement on a bus, completely isolated from
right because
this
back then there's no cell
eruption,
phone. Right.
right? This eruption of information in Los Angeles that he has
Well,
no idea. Yeah.
and then it's just dumb luck when he comes back and they're all at the entrance waiting for him, and
Yes.
he just walks right out the
He just
fucking exit,
he just walks by past cops looking the other direction.
which is shocking. But he saw the cops. You
He
said
saw the
that.
cops, and
And then
just out of instinct from a hustler, you avoid cops as much as you can. It's not like they know
right,
who I am. I just got to stay away from them in a really casual way. Yeah,
sure. But
yeah,
that's like, can you imagine the feat? I know he didn't know at this point that
right.
like they were looking for him, but
Yeah,
still seeing a group of cops, like you've got
yeah,
to have a little panic.
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
And I just like, I thought it was so, I didn't
And
know
he's like,
any.
"Hey, I need a snack." Like he
Oh,
wants to go in for like a Snickers bar, right? And he goes into this bodega or whatever liquor store, and and then right there, boom,
boom.
rows of newspapers. Night
Oh,
Stalker
that would be
identified.
so, I mean, I would love to know what was going on in his brain at that moment.
Oh man, just pure adrenaline and fear and gotta get out of town. And he makes the biggest mistake, right?
Yeah,
He
this
gets on
was
a
great. I
dirty
like
bus.
how you said that, that like this was like you think it's like, okay, he's getting on a bus, like he's gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
But then everyone on the bus has the newspaper.
It's the biggest
And
news in the city in 5 years,
oh
since the
man,
Hillside Strangler,
just
yeah.
be on that bus would have been magical
And
and
then all
terrifying.
imagine people reading the paper and
It's
then,
like
you gotta, like, scratch your nose or something so you're lower and like,
oh, it's so
"Hey, hey, 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 look at your paper and look at that fucking guy, right there."
oh my
Holy
god.
shit, yeah,
Yeah, it would have been and I thought it was interesting how you related that to cell phone use today. Like, that's a very relatable thing,
yeah,
um, and it I don't feel bad, so I don't have it made me contemplate my own cell phone use when you said that sometimes you feel bad about it. I was like, I don't I have social you said you don't have social media.
right.
That's half true. I have social I know, I've posted on your social media for you. I get
You
that
have
you never
right,
posted.
gotcha.
Fair.
Yeah,
But I have all social media,
yeah,
and I don't know. I don't care. Like, I
yeah,
don't scroll. I don't really and I'm not saying that like, "Oh, I'm so good. I don't
right,
scroll." I just it's lost its it's supposed to be a dopamine hit when you, like, see somebody like something you posted or this, and that's why people are addicted to it, and, like, it doesn't do it for I don't care. I don't care what your kid's birthday cake looks like or
right,
about your new dog. I mean, if you're somebody that I'm close with,
sure,
send me the text me the picture. I don't need to see it on Facebook. I don't give a shit.
yeah,
And so it doesn't like I feel very comfortable. Actually, one of my friends said you're really good at like turning off. Like if
yeah,
you want to do something and you don't want to be bothered, you'll just turn off your phone. You don't care. And I
yep,
don't. Like
yep,
too bad. I can't be
yep.
contacted now.
Oh, I know, I've been there. I've been there with
Important.
you. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I was
So
talking about also and I don't know, maybe I made it too specific to myself because I don't scroll for likes or for whatever, but I get my news off my phone. I'm looking at
sure,
my phone a lot
sure.
because that's where I get news and emails and all of that. It's where I conduct a lot of business off my phone, right? And so,
Absolutely.
but really, just go through and look at old pictures like from the 40s or the
Totally.
50s of people like waiting for the bus. Everyone has the paper open and
Oh,
they're
it's an
reading
interesting comparison that you
because
made,
they're
I think
getting
for
their
sure.
news. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
That it's not like I think the way that some people talk about like everybody's looking at their cell phone, and true, everybody is looking at their cell phone. I feel like people probably weren't like crossing busy streets reading a newspaper.
yeah.
However,
True.
they
Good point.
on a bus, at the train station, at the airport, people it's not like people used to be like connecting all the time, like
Right.
hugging, like, "Oh, hey, let's talk. Let me get to know you." People were still fucking involved in their own shit and like, "Don't
People
bother
were
me. I'm reading."
isolated, doing their own thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was because I do think that sometimes people like romanticize how it was before cell phones. Oh, everybody was like best friends on the city bus. No,
No,
that
they
didn't
were
happen.
not.
No.
No.
But
Absolutely.
it's interesting how this horrible murderer and horrible situation that LA was in like brought people together. And I know that that's, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but well, maybe not. That like, I'm sorry, I'm looking at what I have written down here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I wrote the newspapers were like it was creating fear in people. Like people were reading this and like, oh my God, this is the person. They can finally put a face to like the
Yeah.
fear that there's
Yeah.
been. But it also became like the way to stop the fear. So it both
Of
was
course.
initially instilling fear and then it allowed them to like get justice, I guess. Like,
Yep.
yeah, kill.
Yeah. And because everyone was afraid because we know who he is, but he's still out there.
Right,
Right?
right.
He can still hurt people and murder people and create havoc in our city.
Right.
Um, and so that just kind of upped the ante where everyone's like, all right, we know who it is now. It's up to us. Everyone just, in addition to what you're doing today, know who this person, commit this face to memory. All right.
Yep.
And if you see this motherfucker, either jump on him and beat the shit out of him or call the cops. And so when he got off of that bus, when everybody identified him on the bus and ran across the freeway, which is
14
insane.
lanes.
If you know the 5 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, it is a
Yep.
major thoroughfare, okay,
Yep.
with sound walls, 10-foot sound walls to protect local businesses from the constant hum of motor traffic, right?
Right.
And he sprints, he scales a wall, goes across the other opposing lanes of traffic, scales another wall, and
Running
then
for his life.
yeah, and then starts running to East LA. And people get off the bus and they call and they say, I just saw him. I just saw the
Well, and
Night
I
Stalker.
think about that, like, people wait, they can't call from the bus, they have to get off the bus and find a fucking
Off the
payphone.
bus, find a payphone. And there was a payphone right at the bus stop where he got off. There
Yeah.
was one right there. They called up. They said, here's where we are. We're in Boyle Heights. He ran across the 5 heading towards East LA, the neighborhood of East LA. Yeah.
Oh, and I loved hearing more about East LA. I used to watch a show, like, 1,000 years ago called East Los High,
Mhm.
I think that's what it was called, and it was about, like,
Yeah.
teenagers in high school in East LA,
Yep.
and so this brought me back there because I remember watching it and thinking, like, I know that East LA can be considered, I don't know, today, but dangerous or has
Yeah.
been. But also the community. I love that. Like I was like, I want to be there. I want to be part of a place where like it's a community and everyone's kind of looking out for each other. And if
Yeah. Oh,
like a
100%.
biker comes in, everybody, everybody's
Yep.
protecting each other. That's
Yep.
cool. That's
Yep.
not many places today.
A lot of Mexican American immigrants there. A lot of a very proud Chicano Latino culture. It's kind of like the Heights in the Bronx, right, where
Right.
it's a lot of Puerto Rican and Spanish. Um, Enclave, kind of. That's where Lin Manuel Miranda's from. He did a show on it, a
Right.
Broadway show called The Heights. Yeah, so
Hmm.
very similar, and it's a lot like, and Little Italy or Little Tokyo or
Right.
your Chinatowns in various cities and stuff, right? This was that, and block after block. Yes, there are gangs. I wish you could say that the gangs kind of left a lot of the locals alone, but they didn't always. You
Sure.
know, there was
Sure.
some like protection or whatever, shakedowns, that kind of thing, because gangs are
Same thing with
gangs.
Italians. And
Yeah,
I mean, like,
exactly.
I grew up,
Right, right.
in
But
a neighborhood
but
of all
also
Italians in New York.
right, but also they'd be the first to protect the neighborhood
Absolutely.
from an outside enemy. Yeah, yeah,
Totally. Yeah,
yeah,
I thought that was a nice contrast, and, you're not just dealing with one person, you're dealing with the whole block.
yeah,
It was
yeah. And
really the way this plays out feels like a movie, and the way that you told it, you did a good job, I thought, of
cool,
unfolding it in a movie-like way,
cool. Thank you.
which is nice. Um, sorry.
That's all right.
Um, why do you think that they didn't kill him?
They didn't know he was the Night Stalker yet.
So they oh, that's right. You said that in the episode that
Right.
they just thought he was just
They he
somebody
was some
trying
dude
to
who was trying to steal a
off.
car, some
Yeah.
crackhead trying to steal a fucking car. That's it. And and they're not they're normal people. They go out, get up and go to work every day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if someone comes into your neighborhood, right, and they try to steal your car, is that like that's it? You've got to fucking die violently by boot stomps on the street. No, you'll right, you'll subdue them, you'll hold them down, and you'll call the cops,
I'd be
right?
yes, yes. I'd be like, take it, steal it. Maybe I'll get a new one.
No, but you know what I mean. Like
But
it's
yes, yes.
because we're an evolved, sophisticated society
Yeah.
that doesn't, you know, murder people for a
Trying to
criminal.
steal a
Right,
car. Yeah.
right.
But no, go ahead.
But if they knew
Oh,
this is the Night Stalker,
you
they
think they would
probably.
have?
I
Yeah.
do, and so
Okay.
do the cops. So do the cops, especially if a couple of gang members happened to be in the area on the block that day and they knew that he was the Night Stalker. That would have been it. That would
Hmm.
have been it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they didn't know for a while. They didn't know till the cops showed up, and then they don't know what happened first. Did someone like come out of their house who was watching the news and says, "Wait a minute, I think this is the guy. Here's the newspaper or whatever." But then they also fucked him up a little bit, so he was kind of lumped
I
up,
remember
right?
seeing those pictures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he looked a little different. But when everybody found out, then it became a block party on Hubbard Street. You
Right.
know?
I know.
Yeah.
So
You know?
it's such a I know I've said it a bunch of times, but it really does. It feels like cinematic the way that this whole thing played out. Like somebody wrote it. Like he got on the bus, the convenience store. He didn't know the first 16 hours, and then he actually gets captured by the
Yeah.
public.
It's
I
innocent.
mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. And yeah, I thought that was a good contrast. The shift from like everybody's scared to then like collective joy.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I wrote down Dante crawling out of hell. So obviously, I thought
Mm,
there's a connection there. Um, the emotional feel of the city with Dante's own arc in this episode.
hmm.
I usually try to write full sentences in case I get nervous. I can just read them, and here I just have little notes. Um, so Dante, we haven't talked about the
Oh,
Dante.
right, right, right. Well, this is one where there weren't really any direct analogy, right?
Okay,
The one that you landed on, yes,
sure,
Dante crawling out of hell is the city emerging from this nightmare,
right,
definitely. But
yes,
the rest of it, there is no. I could have. Was Ramirez a betrayer of the city in the way? But yeah, that would
sure.
maybe. But I think that Dante and Virgil's arrival in the Ninth Circle, um, is just a powerful enough kind of parable, and that it's the opposite of what you might expect the deepest pit of hell to be. It's not
Right,
fire and brimstone. It's ice. It's an ice world, right?
totally. That
Yeah.
was surprising because I wrote down as far as all the different circles of hell, like this one, like I don't know, this one doesn't seem as bad as some of the. I mean, it seems bad. The silence and isolation are their eternal fate, like the eternalness, and that's we've seen in other
Yeah.
circles of hell. But like the fact that this suffering is forever and ever,
Yeah.
but
But the isolation, and Dante says they're not even permitted to wail,
right, the
right?
absence of sound,
Yeah, they're not like, and then how it's described that they used cold kind of calculation to commit their sins. So again, it's contrapasso. It's the Italian idea of the punishment fitting the crime. Okay,
right,
that this is what you used to commit your sins, so this is what you're relegated to for all of eternity: coldness and isolation.
right.
And then right in the center of all of that, the ultimate betrayer, Lucifer, with his three faces, right?
So like that was very unexpected to me.
Yeah, and who is and he's constantly eating and regurgitating and eating the three
Chewing,
greatest the three greatest betrayers,
right,
Judas, Brutus, and Cassius,
right,
right? For all of time. And what I loved most about it was that Lucifer wasn't some big pimp down in hell running shit. No, he's just
Right,
another prison. He's just another prisoner.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I mean. All of that was very
that's Dante
fun.
stripping away power from the devil. That
Yeah,
really kind of went
I
against accepted Catholic dogma at the time, because basically what you're brought up to believe is that the devil's almost as powerful as God,
sure,
right? Like, but not here.
right.
Not here.
Yeah,
He's frozen to the ground.
right, which is
There's
why
nothing he
that
can
was,
do.
like, very unexpected to me
Yeah,
because as we know, I have not read Dante's
yeah.
Inferno, as that lovely listener pointed out, but so I was not expecting this. Um, and yeah, the whole, like, imagery of this whole scene, like the stillness, no sound, the iciness. I mean, you painted a good picture. I don't know if it was, again, sometimes your words, sometimes Dante's
Yeah,
words.
a mixture. Yeah.
Um, and then and so okay, so you said that there wasn't like a real correlation between the two. Um, but part of me at first was like, well, Ramirez is cold. He's cold. He's a
Yes,
cold-blooded killer. So like
definitely.
there's a alignment there. And then also like he was when I thought of him though, this is going to sound weird, but when I ever thought of Ramirez throughout this whole thing, I don't picture him as like a cold person. Like he's so chaotic and so like hopped up on cocaine all the
Right.
time.
He's
His
fiery. Yeah.
fire, yes, exactly. And so that like there was a juxtaposition there between the
Hmm.
cold and then his like capture was even fiery, how it went down, everything.
Absolutely. And it was hot in LA and it was brutally,
Yeah,
a brutal summer and all that. Right. So, no,
yeah,
what I mean by that is that in the ninth circle, it's reserved for the betrayers, right? The people who betray friends or who betray trust or and that he really didn't have that, right? He didn't have like a person that super trusted him, that because he isolated, right? He was very
sure.
transactional with relationships, or he was very violent with relationships. There
Armando
wasn't
betrayed him.
Armando betrayed him, right? But then I didn't want to elevate that fucking snitch to some like
Right.
high point, right? So
I mean, thank God he betrayed him. Who
I
knows how
know
long.
I'm happy about it, right? I know, of course. But so so rather than trying to shoehorn some kind of crazy betrayal into the episode, I just let it kind of stand on its own and let the
Hmm,
story play out. And then and what I was inspired to do, like I really wasn't planning on doing a big series of bonus episodes with this, but
no, I didn't know
but
that that was happening. I have a question about that,
yeah.
but I have a question about this episode still first. Hold
Oh, sure,
on.
yeah.
Um, I thought I really liked this. By descending fully into the abyss, they had reached the point where down became
Mm,
up.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't know the idea that like the torment became the way out,
yeah.
and
Yeah, that was, and it's described in from Dante as gosh, kind of like a reward.
huh,
Like if unexpected, like you didn't expect this to suddenly be like, oh, that's the way out. Oh, I get it.
oh, not at
By
all.
finding my courage and going all the way to the very bottom.
Right,
Okay, that becomes the saving grace. That's what
right,
saves me. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
was not expecting that at all. The idea of descent as the only way to rise.
Yes, there you go. Yep, that's it.
Okay,
That's it.
now you can tell me about the bonus episodes because I was like, wait, because when you were talking about like when we got to Ramirez is captured and I was like, but there's more. Like there's more. Where is the more? I want to
Yeah.
know more. So I'm glad that there's going to be bonus episodes
Yeah.
about this. Why or how did you decide to do that?
I wanted to fit everything into 9 episodes because as it correlated to the Inferno. Okay.
Hmm.
And and then I really didn't have a plan for how I was going to cover the trial or the aftermath or what happened to Ramirez in prison or his death or like any of that.
Mhm.
And so okay. Then I was like, well, listen, Purgatorio is very interesting and Paradiso is very interesting. I'm not going to do fucking 9 episodes on each one. Okay.
Sure.
But I'll do, even more truncated versions of Purgatorio and Paradiso as maybe 4 or 5 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes that go through the trial and the aftermath, you know, because there's a
Cool.
lot of interesting characters that come in terms of uh, attorneys and jurors. There's a fucking murder halfway through the trial that derails the trial.
Really?
And oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, see,
Oh
I don't know any of this.
yeah, 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 yeah. Crazy. And it was like the at that point, the trial of the century, before OJ, 5 or 6 years later. This was
God, that
what
was just
oh,
5 or 6 years later?
yeah, this trial was 89, OJ was 95, but then there was also in between these in 92, 93, the Menendez trial.
Yeah,
Right? So
that's
LA is just fucking rife with these massive murder trials. Um, but so and just the character that Ramirez decided to play, because it's almost like he made a conscious choice to become like a rock star type of guy with the suits that he would wear and the sunglasses and
Oh,
how he
yeah,
had his
I've seen
hair.
those pictures, that's
Yeah,
right.
and how he had his hair done and the statements that he would make, these poetic kind of deep statements that he would make in open court and stuff. And then all of his Lucifer shit and how he'd draw the pentagram on his hand and all that. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's right.
so it became a circus. It kind of became a bit of a circus. But the whole time, you could also make a very easy connection to the city climbing out of hell towards a redemptive kind of posture, um, because the city was so wounded and the city was broken by this guy. Um, and so that makes creatively and artistically, it makes a lot of sense to continue the story for
Yeah,
4 or 5 more episodes.
I
And
think people will wanna know, and so looking back on these 9 episodes, what was, I don't know, the best part to write, your favorite part to write, the hardest episode or parts of the story to write? Was there anything that, like, stood out to you through this?
the hardest thing creatively was to not be able to sit down with the cops and be able to include their story,
Oh,
because I get it. They have committed their stories to a different
right.
project. Okay, totally respect that. Wish I could have really sat with them and have it be more their story than Ramirez's story. Okay. But then that's also what Netflix did 3 or 4 years ago. So people kind of knew that. All right. So my job that I gave myself was to tell the story in a different way. The Dante thing came up, and then that made everything all right for me. All right.
Yeah.
So, but I wish I could have spent more time with the cops. Um,
Okay, that makes
and then
sense.
the other thing that was tough going along was just the random nature of his crimes made me just kind of ruminate and meditate on how little control we have in the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have, like, children, so
Yes.
that's even
In LA.
scarier.
Yeah.
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 Yes, that's
So that was rough. But the best thing about it was rediscovering Dante and diving back into that world has been great and beautiful and also really just kind of humbling, because just when you think like, well, maybe I can write some good stuff now and then you read Dante and you're like, nope, I'm a fucking hack.
I mean, that makes sense, and also, no, you're a very good writer. I'm not gonna,
Hack.
like, blow smoke up your ass too much, but I
No,
do think that you're a very good writer. Maybe not as good as Dante, but I haven't read Dante, so in my mind,
but
you're
it's
up
just what you can't just brush off is just the 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 hook of the Inferno, right? Of Dante. Imagine him just wandering in exile, and it's not like he was a beggar, okay? Like he had money, he just couldn't be in Florence, all right? So, but he's sad and he can't be home, and he's out there, and he goes, "I want to write something, but huh." How do I explore the nature of humanity and our redemption in the face of sin and Jesus and who gets to heaven and who does? Huh? What if it's me, okay?
yeah,
And I team up with Virgil, my favorite Roman poet, okay? And he, for whatever reason, has divine permission for a more to chaperone a mortal through these. Like we can't just brush past the genius
No,
of
it's
that
brilliant.
idea,
Yeah, it's pretty
right?
brilliant.
You know
That's
what
true.
I mean? To make it accessible to people, and then to not write it in Latin, to write it in the vulgar Italian language, which was considered vulgar at the time,
Right.
to then ensure its popularity, that so many people could. I mean, it was just one just stroke of genius after another when it comes with this. And he didn't rush it. It took him a long time to write it, you know. Um, and then when you get to Purgatorio and Paradiso, um, just because world rules that he created. All right, Virgil can't go beyond purgatory, so who's going to be his guide? Oh, Beatrice. Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
really? The
yeah,
one woman he ever loved.
yes. Beatrice is his guide through Paradiso.
Whoa,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, it's yeah. So
God, I've learned
anyway,
a lot. I will say that I have learned. I made a joke last time about the listener who commented that I haven't read this, and I was like, this isn't like a college course. Like I'm just hanging out with my friend in college.
yeah.
And but I will say that I've perhaps learned more than in some of the college classes I did take
Mm,
100 years ago, for sure. Like the
yeah.
obviously about Dante, but even like fingerprints, about bridges, about about all
Cool.
kinds. There's been like a lot of cool different little asides in here
It's
that
great. Thanks for going along as I nerd out on shit that I find
yeah,
interesting. And I have
yeah,
a deep hope that other people will also, right?
yeah,
But I'd do it anyway, even if no one gave a shit.
sure, of course, of course.
I like those little off ramps, like, hey, in case you give a shit, here's some stuff about the Golden Gate Bridge, or here's some stuff about fingerprints. Maybe you'll find interesting that you could talk with your kids about, or talk with your husband about, or talk with your coworkers about.
I mean, yeah, I've talked with Mark about a bunch of this stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like I said,
Great.
I've
My
talked
job's
with
done.
people on my Patreon when I've shared these episodes and they've gone and listened, and multiple people have said he needs to do like a history
Well,
podcast.
big announcement coming up about that I can't announce yet, but
I feel like I maybe know, but maybe not.
I think you know also. But it's coming.
Okay.
Announcement coming soon.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Good.
Well, listen, this was great. Thank you
Loved
again.
it.
Thank you again.
Thank you
And
for helping me.
yes, and bonus episodes will start next week. So we're gonna do. I'll do Purgatory with the trial, and then Paradiso with the aftermath. When the
Can't wait.
trial's done and the bad guy's in jail and LA goes back to normal, and because it's a modern paradise to live in. I don't know, so I'll come up with something. But
Okay.
but the
Okay.
rest of the story needs to be told. It's a great American story. It's a great story of the even though someone is guilty, how difficult it is to prosecute, right? Because of because of how terrific our judicial laws are. Everybody gets a fair shake. Everybody gets a fair trial. Everybody's entitled to a vigorous defense, like all of that. And sometimes it's maddening when this is the guy.
Right.
Okay. But still,
Or that it's not the guy. I know not. I know.
sure.
I'm not speaking, but
Yeah.
in terms of the justice system, this person didn't do it, but they're
Sure.
in jail for 25 years.
I know it's maddening. I understand, and there are aspects of this that will piss you off. There are,
Oh, sure.
but it's the same rules apply to everybody,
Yeah.
allegedly. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope everyone else is too. And thank you. This was great.
Thank
This
you.
was great. And sorry that the episode's a little bit late, but I was traveling, so I appreciate you accommodating my schedule. And listeners out there, thank you again for hanging in through the series, and I hope you stick around for the next phases of it. If you like the episode, please share it with somebody who you think also might enjoy it, and head over to Apple and rate and review, because every little engagement helps the algorithm, as you know. So,
Very nice.
and go to Death by Southwest if you haven't already. You must. It's a great listen, great follow. Margot, you're doing great work over there, so thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So until
Okay.
next time, everybody, stay safe out there.
Bye, guys.
The Devil Within is an EVO production, recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. Written and produced by Branden Morgan, executive produced by Danny Abelson. For The Devil Within, I'm your host, Branden Morgan.